Bobby from Mexico City. All right, folks. We're still in chapter 37. Just to remind you, chapter 37, in our actions and our divine service during the time of exile, which we're in now. Oh, and what of exile we're in. What an exile we are in. Although, well, I'll share with you later about our current situation. But what we're learning is that it's all up to us to create a world of good, to bring the final redemption. God once created it for the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. But since it came from above, it wasn't integrated from within. Now it has to come from within. And as we explain, what is the greatest way that we accomplish that? Is what is the part of me that needs fixing? It's my nefesh baham, is my animal soul that gives vitality to my body. It has its own agenda that is not a one that's God-based. It's on self-interest based. Doesn't mean it's bad. But by its nature, it's bad. Bad means that I'm self-directed in Tanya teaching. Bad doesn't mean that you did something, you hurt somebody, you hurt God, by doing something ungodly. Bad means that it is self-directed by the animal soul. So we have a godly soul that vests itself in the animal soul in order to refine it. Where's the greatest refinement take that we learned previously in the last class? The greatest refinement takes where the greatest engagement of the animal soul is. And where's the greatest engagement of the animal soul? It's in making a livelihood, working 8 hours a day, and especially if you have to work hard. Even though today the animal souls are and bodies are at home, they're not working for the most part. Especially here in Quebec now, there's complete shutdown. Only essential services. In any case, but this is the fact, is that the money that we have, that we earn, we really blood, sweat, and tears, as the old saying goes. And when you give that to charity, and as we explained yesterday, even if it wasn't blood, sweat, and tears, even if you won a lottery, or you got a great inheritance and you really didn't work hard for your money, you just got it. Well, that money could be used for self-directed purposes, for your life, for the betterment of your material being, and you give it to charity. You give tzedakah. As we mentioned yesterday, crucial. This is the greatest mitzvah, the greatest command of God Almighty. And when we now give that which could have been used for me, that I really invested in, hard work to make that money and give it to tzedakah, that is the greatest refinement of the animal soul. When, for example, a woman goes to light her Shabbos candles, or a man puts on his tefillin, or other mitzvahs that we engage in, there's minimal animal soul that's involved in the effort to put on tefillin, to light Shabbos candles, or any other particular, Lulav and Esrog, you come and you shake it on the holiday of Sukkot. Now, there might be, emotional and intellectual challenges that a person might have, and therefore might make it difficult for them to fulfill the mitzvah. Okay, but that's not what we're talking about over here. We're talking about just in the, someone who's ready to do the mitzvah, ready to commit themselves to God. How much effort is there involved in, the act of putting on your tefillin? Right? The physical engagement is minimal. And remember, what does God want? A dwelling place in this low world. So the lowest part of this world is the physicality of the world out there and the animal soul and body of me. That needs the refinement in order that God should dwell comfortably, which, as we said, ultimately will be when Mashiach comes. We are, every time we engage, we bring it a step closer in doing a mitzvah. Every time we engage, we bring it a step closer. The mitzvah of tzedakah is the greatest of all of them in that respect, of changing my animal soul and changing the physical reality of this world. So that's what we explained yesterday. So now the Alter Rebbe throws a curveball into all of this. That's the Jewish way, by the way. Jewish way can't be so simple. It can't be so straightforward. Nothing straightforward in life. As a matter of fact, all truths come in paradoxes. So here the Alter Rebbe now says, the sages in the Talmud make a statement, which actually we say every day in the morning prayers. These are things that have no limit, and it's a Mishnah that we say every day at the end of the morning blessings. So you could take a look at it for yourself. We end off in saying different mitzvahs that we are to engage in, to fulfill the teachings. And it ends off, Talmud Torah keneged kulam. And the study of Torah is equal to all of the mitzvahs. Didn't we just get finished saying that the mitzvah of charity is the greatest, tzedakah is the greatest mitzvah? It's equal to all of them. Actually, another phrase from that we mentioned yesterday. Forgot to repeat. Right? Tzedakah shkula keneged kulam. It weighs equally to the mitzvah of charity, to all of the mitzvahs. So we have competing ideas over here. The Alter Rebbe explains. And of course, we need to understand how to reconcile the two, which we won't get there today. But, stay tuned. We will get there. So first of all, he explains, why is it indeed that the study of Torah outweighs all the mitzvahs? Which, by the way, that's the mitzvah we're doing now. We are studying together. So the Alter Rebbe explains. Well, gives a few explanations. First thing is, when I engage in giving charity, what's involved of me? It could be a mindless act, and you still fulfill the mitzvah, right? You take the coin and whatever, you just dropped it in the charity box, in the pushka. You just gave, you wrote a check, and it was your mind was elsewhere, and you wrote a check, or you gave your credit card and you gave tzedakah, and really your mind was elsewhere, right? Did you fulfill the mitzvah? Absolutely, because it's about the giving. It's not about the intent, even though we'll learn later that the importance of intent. But in the mitzvah, the essential mitzvah is the act of giving. So in that act of giving, does it engage my mind, my thoughts? But when I study Torah, if my thoughts aren't there, if I don't understand, there's no mitzvah of Torah, of the study of Torah. For example, right now, I'm sure this is not the case of anybody that's with us right now, but I'm going to give it as a metaphor just to appreciate. If anybody is kind of engaged in something else, sipping away their coffee, and they are hearing me saying a few words and their mind is elsewhere, they don't fulfill a mitzvah. It's only when you are focused and your mind is engaged, your thoughts are in the thoughts that are being expressed or presented, then you grasp it, you fulfill the mitzvah. Okay, but what that means is that the inner me is engaged, because speech, you can say I love you, but don't mean it. You can do an action that's loving, like giving charity, and your thoughts are elsewhere and your heart is elsewhere. But when you're studying Torah, you have to engage your inner thought process, where the thoughts of the person, that's where you are found. That's a deeper revelation of you, a deeper expression of you. The inner garment, as it's called, of the vital soul, which means when I study Torah, I'm refining that inner part of me, my thoughts, right? That my thoughts would, when I don't study Torah, are just random thoughts or whatever, right? That are not being refined, but now they are being refined. Hence, the study Torah is greater. That's one explanation. Further explanation is the very substance of what we're learning, right? Is that we're learning God's wisdom. And what's unique about learning God's wisdom over here is that it's being absorbed in my head, in my brain. When we learn Tanya, what happens is the divine wisdom is now being absorbed in our brain to the extent that we have His will and wisdom a part of me. That as a result of that, His wisdom is my wisdom. His vision becomes my vision. That I'm able to see the world the way God sees the world, right? And now, although the Beinoni, we learned earlier, cannot transform their emotions, only the righteous person, the tzaddik, can, but they can transform me and you, wannabe Beinonis. We can transform our intelligence, our Chabad. That's why we're all Chabadniks. Chabad.